Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Not Forgotten North Recording. Good evening, Stan. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, mate.
Evening, both.
It
It's
is
been a couple of days since I've seen your beautiful faces.
it is T-minus. What day is it now?
Thursday.
So we're recording this on Thursday. So it's been 4 days now since Masters has finished.
Yep.
And there's been some stuff already out there in the sort of wider forum and recordings, etc. And we just thought we would finish off the Masters off from our side to talk about how it went as TOs, particularly from your sides, how I found it as a player, how the comp went, sort of who won it, how that broke down, and a little bit of data because I love spreadsheets. I talk about a little bit of how that's reflected on the event and reminisce a little bit about now that we've come to the end of 2025.
Done, dusted.
It's flown over in many respects, but so yeah, Masters. So before we delve into the comp in and of itself, guys, how did you guys find the Masters in the Open from a TO point?
It was brilliant, to be honest, to see quite a small event because of a few drops and all of that. It was under, what was it, 22 in the Masters and
22 in the Masters and 18 in the Open. So fundamentally, it was split as a 40. It was a 40-man room event between two events.
Yeah, but it was lovely to see that many people, as I do always, especially in the Masters. The top boys.
Yeah, I think as well. If you look at it from like the top players in the country, and there was no arguments, there was no if and that. It was just everything was played in the best kind of manners you could hope for.
Yeah.
Yep. There was a couple. There was one incident where I'll not name the players, but handled to perfection. Disagreed with the way I ruled something, and just said, "Fine, that's the way you've ruled it. I disagree, but you've ruled it that way," and that was perfect.
Which I think is the point, isn't it? Because I think generally speaking, this is just for all comps. And we've talked about it in the past, that people read things through their own lens, through their perspective. And if you can't agree at the table between the two players and you call a TO over, once a TO has made a decision, whether that's right or wrong, frankly, doesn't make any difference. You've asked the TO for a ruling and the TO gives a ruling. You just have to accept that ruling and move on.
I think there was 50-50, so in the end they just diced something off and they were fine with that. We couldn't.
Yeah, I had one like that as well.
Which is often the best way, isn't it? In many respects.
It was lovely, and great to meet a lot of the lads that don't normally come to our events.
Yeah, there was a lot of new faces there, which was lovely.
I mean, there was quite a large Scottish invasion, to be fair.
There was the Open was essentially the Scottish Masters.
Yeah.
I have heard rumours that they're rebuilding the wall.
Is that to keep bash in or bash out?
I think exactly.
Bash out.
I mean, I don't know if you guys felt this as tears, because obviously this was a really new one for me in the fact that this is the first ever time I've officially played, and one of us have officially played in our event.
Yeah.
Which was quite a unique experience for me, being semi-TO to help out where you needed, and well, mainly just because I was loud, which has been commented on. Is that the only reason you guys keep me around? I was like, well, let's not scratch that itch.
It's one of the many pluses.
Yeah. But I can only sort of say about as a player in it, and you're right to bring it up, that this is the very top end of the competitive scene. But you wouldn't think that from the way the event went. And what I mean by that is there was no gamesmanship. There was no sort of anyone looking to get any got-yous or catch people out without being incredibly open. There was being allowed. It was genuinely played in a wonderful spirit. And actually, it really went a long way to highlight almost the best of the hobby, if that makes the best part of the hobby of the players.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the same for the Open.
Oh, some of the Open games when I could get a gap in between mine looked like the guys were having an absolute blast.
I think the Open had a lot more games that you went over on like turn 2, and it was like massively in one person's favour. You'd do the round, you'd come back, and you'd be like, "What the hell happened?"
Yeah, which you would expect not to see a lot less of in the Masters because of the very nature that it's very tight, which we'll come on to when we talk about women and how that then leads to variance, etc. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of touch a little bit on how wonderful I thought the event was from a community aspect and how well it was played from a player point
And I
of
mean,
view.
with that, obviously, we had the live streaming by Richie with Derry After Dark, which I think helped bring in the community that can't attend, or the ones that want to see what the Masters is about. They get to watch the games as well because of Richie doing his streaming for us, which is really nice.
Hats off to Richie and obviously Dave helped him, but I thought his stream was fantastic. He's clearly put a lot of time and effort into how the layout looks, and I thought it was phenomenal. I played on it in game 4, but it was amazing. Like, I thought he did a sterling job.
I haven't had time to catch up on any of them yet, but I will do. But it's just lovely to have Richie and Dave around because they're both characters.
It was very fun. Anyway, then, should we segue from there and talk, or rather, review the comp? So we're not going to go through the pack individually, but generally speaking, let's talk comp because there was a lot of talk about into the event.
Yeah, mostly it's our standard comp, isn't it?
Most of it's our standard comp, or has been our standard comp with some additions. I think a lot of the things in this comp will be, hopefully, might prove to be irrelevant very soon if we have this FAQ land anytime soon and it's as relatively punchy as some of the rumours. I mean, who knows what's actually going to be in it, but I'm looking forward to reviewing the comp with the FAQ.
Yeah, I would say we'll easily scratch off hopefully half of the things on it.
Hopefully, because obviously in reality, the less comp you have to add in, the better it is for the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think if I fly through it and you guys sort of jump in and tell me if you agree, I think Regen not being hit on unstable made no difference, and that's a widely played comp, so like it doesn't really need anything to sort of chat on.
Yep.
Next one was the cannons comp, and that haven't have line of sight to the intended target. I think this one caused more confusion than I thought it would.
Yeah, I think we just need to tighten up the wording on it a bit.
I still think this is a fair comp in how cannons should work.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to shoot stuff you can't see because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But if you're then silly enough to leave an army on unit on one side of a forest, that would allow a shot into a character behind it.
Yeah.
That's
correct.
And that the cannons should be able to punish you for that, because I think the problem with cannons, in my opinion, is they're either too good or rubbish. It's really hard to get them to just be okay, because the armies that tend to use them, with the exception of Cathay, rely on them a lot.
Yeah, how to deal with big stuff.
Yeah,
I just think with the wording on it, we just need to make it clear that you select an initial unit that you are targeting, and you've got to be able to see it.
Yeah, fair. There was also no pushback on the 2 next vampire comp points. The mortis engines not stacking, not that anyone took 2 mortis, and I don't think they were put off in their list building by that point, because actually I think the next point with the 3 screams stopped that anyway. I actually think this one though is probably irrelevant and can disappear.
To be fair, the 3 screams one isn't one of our standard ones.
No, that was voted by the public.
Yeah, that will come off.
Yeah, that was a play out. That was a play. I mean, obviously, all of these were voted in by the players, but a lot of them coincide with our initial comp anyway. But I think the 3 scream limit is, I don't think it needs to be in our start going forward, personally.
No, I don't.
Even before we had it in, you never saw that many screams really that it was a problem.
No, I don't think so. And I think this, if you want to go the full scream list, which is a 6 scream list, as other like real inherent problems.
Think about it, if you go for the 3 screams, you're kind of pushing people to the graveyard block.
I think when you limit screams and you limit ethereal, you are forcing people into the cookie cutter build. Strangely enough, like you're not helping variance. You're stopping it. The next ones on Cathay, I think, probably are a pin is put in those ones for review until we get the rumored FAQ, which may or may not address a lot of Cathay problems.
Yeah.
Well, I think since we've stuck the Cathay balloon company, it is pretty much now almost worldwide. That's what everyone's doing.
Yeah, I think one character or double non-character is very, very fair. It's an incredibly good unit. I didn't see any pushback on any of these things that we put in for Cathay, if I'm honest.
No.
And also didn't see any pushback on the Green Knight not being able to charge.
No, I think generally everyone goes for either he can't charge or he gives up half his points if he dies.
Yeah, and I think if you combine them, I think you don't see the Green Knight. He can't be taken. He's not worth it.
Yeah.
I actually think if you get half his points when he dies, he's very borderline whether he's worth his points cheap.
Yeah.
I do personally think not charging the turn he shows up is the fair comp on him that people then question whether they take him or not.
Yeah.
But again, to be fair, this sort of middle section, sort of the standard, the Masters comp as voted in, minimal pushback and minimal sort of issues with it. I think the 3 screen one's probably superfluous, but otherwise, minimal thoughts on it really until we get the FAQ. The additional comp that was sort of like added in afterwards, so the no rerolls for BSBs for undead and the limit on ethereal.
So this came in because obviously the December and November was just VC 1-2-3s, 1-2-3s, 1-2-3s.
And this was essentially a clamour by the wider public. And by the wider public, I mean sort of wider public within the world of Old World, naturally, not I say people on the streets clamouring for it naturally. Although, hey, who knows?
There was a genuine concern at the Masters.
There was a genuine concern
VCs
that ourselves and the UK&I chairs were asked to address. And we took a lot of feedback, put a lot of things to the chairs. This is what was finally brought in. Like, was it the ideal way of bringing the company back? No, it wasn't. I think lessons have been learned in that regard. We won't go into that because we'll be having a good debrief with the chairs. But also, with it being the first ever Masters in Old World and the tight turnaround in time, inevitably there's going to be learnings, and that is what it is.
I disagree with the rerolls on retrospect. Now I've had time to think of it, but I do think it serves its purpose.
It served its purpose. It served a purpose. As someone who played in it and played an undead army, it did hurt. But I mean, it's all relative because we'll come on to very shortly to review standings and where people finished. And undead still performed very well. Now they performed very well with very good players playing them, but it's in a room against other very good players playing various other armies. I disagree with the no reroll with hindsight. Like I said it beforehand, anyway. But I think with hindsight, we post FAQ, we probably want to revisit this when it comes to Forgotten North 4's comp.
Yeah, I still think VC need some sort of comp.
Agreed. I think what we need to probably look at, and this is going slightly off topic a smidge, is the bit that needs comped is how the Graveguard block exists and gets uber buffed, not everything else.
Yeah.
But
I still think you should have a vampire in a vampire army.
And again, I suppose that's not really the point of this video by any stretch. And maybe as we have post FAQ and post our thoughts, and maybe even host a live show where we talk about our thoughts on comp and engage with people who want to join in and give us their ideas. I don't know, spitballing, but as a review point for the Masters, I think the limit on Ethereal did give us list variety, which I quite enjoyed seeing, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I think the reroll leadership tests probably needs removed and a rethink.
I think we're all, well, I know yourself and I am are against that being carried forward.
Yeah. I think there's other things that we can do. But anyway, I think that's with hindsight, it wasn't the ideal.
It's what it was.
It is what it is.
Turned around quickly.
Yeah. That said, did it single-handedly stop Undead before? Well, the answer is no.
No.
Yeah. So that was the comp. Any other thoughts that you guys have regarding the comp that we kind of haven't touched on in that regard, or anything I've sort of missed out on our chat?
I just think that at the minute, any conversation on comp is pretty much a waste of breath.
Yes, at this stage, because we're now in the limbo of waiting for this FAQ.
Yeah. Schrodinger's FAQ.
Yeah, that said, did the comp or any of the things within the comp prevent the Masters or indeed the Open being a wonderful event? And I would say categorically not.
No. Did it stop?
Everyone still enjoyed the event no matter what army they had in place.
And it didn't stop. Well, it did stop one list dominating.
Well, with that in mind, let's look at, if anyone doesn't know, here is the standings at the top end of the UK Masters, and it was won, and once again, an official congratulations to the one and only Pash. He built his Cathay army. He clearly hates himself and everybody else, and he's clearly fueled by the hate of others. And he came down and went the event without losing.
I blame myself. I gave him a practice game on the Friday night and told him all my tricks.
That probably is your fault then. I mean, most things are your fault. When you circle around to it, eventually it's Stan's fault.
Normally is.
I mean,
gave him the confidence.
If the world's told us nothing else, it's that normally Stan's at fault.
Or your IT.
It's always one of you. You both just...
my IT, yeah. I think what you look at there is actually went the weekend without losing. What's quite interesting, he quite genuinely went big win, draw, big win, draw, big win.
How many points did he finish on at the end?
78. 78.
Which isn't bad.
Very, very respectable. Like very.
We said 14 on average to win. He's got 16 average.
Yeah, I said 75 would win if you scored over 75, you'd win the event. I actually think I said if you scored over, you'd probably win the event.
Yeah, I said between 60 and 70, he'll win the event.
Yeah. So Pash scored more than I was expecting the winner to score. If I'm honest, I said 70 to 75 will take the event. So Pash performed very, very well. Hats off to him. He really played his list to its maximum, I think.
It's a very technical list he had, and he's a very technical player.
Yeah. I think it goes without saying that the real hero of the piece is the guy that came second.
No.
I don't think it is.
No. But again,
without the top 7 players, there's 6 different armies.
That's actually the big take. What's interesting is, so obviously you can see the Masters final leaderboard there, and Pash took with Jade Fleet. I came second with Royal Host. Charlie came third with Vampires. Luke came fourth, Bretonian Exiles. And put Luke's in perspective as well. He played the top 3. Keith then came fifth with Vampires, having played Charlie and I as well for his 2 10-10s on day 2. Then we've got Ed with Wild Herd and Tom with Chaos Dwarfs. So you're right, 6 different armies out of the top 7. I think's remarkable.
It's really good. And I'm just going back to yours. We said in the preview show that your list can grow 13-14s, and that'll be a good podium.
Yeah.
Then you done this.
Obviously, when you guys were doing the presentation and I was sort of sitting taking photos of the winners, etc., I was legitimately shocked when you called my name out in second place. Like in that room full of such genuinely excellent players, people took points off one another comfortably, and
and no tolls in the top 7.
No, Sam's sneaking in 8. What is interesting is just to talk a little bit about how that looks. Pash, when I said he overperformed, like, that's not to take it because he really overperformed. There was 14 points between Pash and myself in second place.
Yeah.
That is a huge gulf at this level.
But then it's right below that.
Well, yeah, after that, there's 2 points between me and Charlie, 2 points between Charlie and Dr. Luke in fourth. And what's interesting is if takeaway number 1, second place and 7th place, which is what the reason I essentially stopped at that point on this screen, is covered by a variance of only 6 points.
Like, so back to our predictions, we said it was going to be very tight.
Yeah. And that proved to absolutely be the case.
The other interesting thing is it's very rare to see that much blue.
Yes.
Well, if you look at it, both Charlie and Keith with the VC didn't win a game, neither of them on day 2.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually.
Which is quite rare.
So, but that tells us about people knowing when to push and when not to push and going, I'll take the draw from this. Just don't lose.
You know, that Keith and Charlie draw, they're playing one another in game 5, was possibly the most brutal draw I think I've ever seen. Like, everything was dead, relatively. Like, they'd smashed the pants off each other.
Well, if you look at round 4 there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 draws in the top 6 for round 4.
Yeah.
I think people had worked out there, like Keith, Charlie, had worked out because other people were keeping track of points and asking people. They'd worked out that if Pash dropped 13 points or so, and they got 20 points, they could win it.
Yeah.
So I think
those had the leaderboard hidden the whole weekend. It was like genuinely, Charlie and I were both shocked. Like going into game 5, it was almost guaranteed Pash was taking the win. Like he'd done all the hard yards leading into that point.
He needed to choke,
and he needed to choke, which he is too good at do that. Well, anything.
Your last game was against Luke, wasn't it? So that was very much who was finishing second was between you and Luke, who won.
Well, you didn't know because it was so tight. It could have flip flopped all over the place. And I think both Charlie and myself were genuinely shocked to come second and third.
Well, like you say, 6 points in it between second and 7th.
In that absolute snake pit, I think everybody performed admirably. So then, with that in mind, how did that compare the top end of the Masters to the top end of the Open? And Jade Fleet took both the Masters and the Open.
Look at all the high elves in the Open.
This is very interesting when we talk about where people won. So hats off to Callum, James, and Chris taking 1, 2, 3. Look at Dave in there breaking up the Scottish Open.
I've got to say,
doing his best to stop the Scottish domination in the Open.
A personal congratulations to James, because the state he was in on Saturday.
Yeah. His list was very good, like a very good Brett list as well, actually. And it was also beautiful.
A lot less draws in the Open than
a lot less. So I think this is probably the right time to bring up a point about dragons.
So, yeah, I'll take this one because it was actually prompted to us by Greater Toll. And looking at it, when you look at the Masters, everyone that took at least one dragon finished in the bottom half. then if you look at the Open, dragons pretty much dominate the top half. So I think there's a case to be, and I don't want this to be disrespectful to anyone, that the top players write the list, know how to deal with or have a plan for dragons. And then obviously the people with the dragons in the top half in the Masters suffered, while in the Open, dragons was still quite a dominant force.
I think that is really interesting because you're right, not a single dragon finished in the top half in the Masters. And there was still a lot of dragons in there.
Yeah.
I think the Open lists were a lot more, not generally friendly, but a lot less streamlined into winning the event as well, though.
Which is what you'd expect.
Yeah, I mean, it probably just shows at the very top end of the game, dragons can be countered.
Yeah. By the best players, they've got a plan.
I still think there's a room for monsters because, like, Matt, whose army was just on there a second ago on the slideshow as we chat, took double king, double necrosphinx, and going into the last round, he was playing Pash.
Yeah, he was top table last game.
So he was top table last game. So he was in the top like 4 or 5 for the event, but it was very boom and bust.
Yeah.
And I think that's what monsters bring. And I think at the top end, as we probably showed there on the leaderboard, consistency pays off. I just thought that was maybe the right time to bring up the chat about dragons as it leads us into sort of the general chat about.
Like I said, we've got to be careful because the Masters was the top 20 people.
20, yeah.
But like a lot more friendly lists, so they're not going to be.
If your average GT, you're not going to play them 5 times.
No, that's right. Are we sitting here saying dragons cannot win GTs? Like, absolutely not. Dragons will still win GTs comfortably because what they do is when dragons win, they win big normally.
Yeah.
And in a 20-0 scoring system across 5 games, you're not going to get 5 top tier, not to sound arrogant, like top tier players, like, because normally that's the Masters is a very unique experience in the fact there was the top 22 players in the country at the event, give or take. But it does show at that very, very top end. Maybe the time of the dragon is very much finished.
I think the time of the T6 is.
Oh, what a great photo to summarise the event there. I popped up.
Crazy people.
You know, it really was a moment. So just some initial data grabs I've started looking at there is interesting that Jade Fleet won both the Masters and the Open. Also, by the same interest, Dark Elves came last in both the Masters and the Open. So there was a real synergy across both the Masters and the Open. A little bit snap out. We probably could have removed some of these photos if I'd looked at them prior. Those ridiculous pants off column. What else is interesting is in amongst the top 4, both were represented by Exiles, and both were represented by Vampire Counts as well.
Yep.
Then the Masters then had Royal Host, the Open then had a High Elf in. But I think, Jenny, if you take, like, is a rule, that off Pash, the guy's an absolute legend. What a swine. Look how happy he is.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
He's going to be dining on that free.
Take a Pash.
Oh, and you got his whiskey. But it's interesting if you combine Masters and Open and look at battle points won as a average, the top 4 armies were Jade Fleet, Royal Host, Vampires, Exiles. I think you had to pick the 4 strongest armies in the game. You'd pick you'd pick Cathay, Tomb Kings, Vampires, and Bretts. Not necessarily in that order, but
Yeah,
I think what it showed is that the perception of the 4 strongest armies proved to be the 4 strongest armies.
Yeah.
The Royal Host one's a bit skewed because of it's just you. You're the only monster.
Nobody else stoops that low.
I'm making infantry great again, guys.
And Todd's making Griffins great again.
Yeah, yes, yeah. The other thing I thought was interesting was that looking at the different SKUs, obviously I mentioned the top 7 in the Masters earlier, minus whoever finished first, and only different by 6 points. Interestingly, in the Open, 2nd to 7th were also really quite close. There was only 11 points difference, which is not a lot either between like 6 places fundamentally.
No.
Which some of this we've got to acknowledge the fact that we did do the expanded scoring system as well.
Yeah.
So there will be some contraction around the middle.
Yeah, naturally, yeah. So obviously we use what is currently the WTC scoring chart, which makes 20 mils fundamentally harder to get and to do compound, but I still stand by that. I think that's the most fair scoring system.
Yeah,
I like it.
The other thing I found interesting with the scoring was the variance from bottom to second from bottom at both events. So in the Open, that gap was 11 points from the person who finished last to the person who finished second last. In the Masters, it was a 20-point difference from bottom to the next bottom.
That's quite big.
That is very, very big. And it just was, if you have a quote-unquote weaker list in the Masters at the top end, it's going to be punished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Mark or indeed Dark Elves, I think they are down there as one of the weakest lists in the game.
Well, the only Dark Elf list that worked really was Double Dragon, and now they're not quite as good. Their best list has now been hit quite badly.
Their best list is a middle of the pack list.
Yeah, well, bottom of the pack list these days.
If you get top half,
I think Mark's list was skewed.
It was, but I still think it's a really Dark Elves they need some help if they're going to perform.
Yeah.
The other little bit of variance I looked at was the variance from bottom to top, which I think is quite interesting as well. To a point, there was a 67-point variance from the person who won the event to Dark Elves at the bottom of the event in the Masters, that is quite a spread across 22 people.
Yeah, that's quite big.
And in the Open, with slightly less players, but it was still a 52-point variance. So actually, it was just quite really interesting that they are very comparable figures in many respects.
Which, to be fair, I had to look at the numbers for the Open, but I think a lot of the people that were in the Open were in that second bracket of people.
Of scoring.
You're 70 down to 150 sort of range.
Yeah. And then sort of the last little bit of sort of maybe nerd data I wanted to sort of share, and then I want to very quickly show a screenshot of my crazy initial data grab, which I've shared with these gents already. But actually, I've tried to label each of the lists that were at the event. So essentially, I've tried to break them down to as best I can, whether they were a mixed arms list, a Death Star style list, an evasion list, a points denial list, a full send list, or a gun line. People might classify them slightly differently, but I've done my best to get a basic look at them.
For legal reasons, we're not labeling people or the lists. This is just a tool for measuring stuff.
Indeed. Well, what was interesting is the most popular style of list across both if you combine the Open and the Masters, the most popular was a full send style list, like a really aggressive aggro list. However, there was 16 of those across the 40 armies. 6 of them in the Masters, 10 of them in the Open. So maybe that style of list sort of compounds what we were talking about earlier. Dragons doing well in the Open. Full sends at that level seem to perform quite well, or were certainly more popular. The second type was mixed arms, as in, like, I couldn't really classify them as they weren't a full send list. They had a bit of something of various different types to them. 2 of them across the event, 7 in the Masters, 5 in the Open, and actually, it was a mixed arms list that won both of the events.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite interesting. I mean, mixed arms, it's Cathay, so maybe that's a different conversation piece. But I did think it was just quite interesting to look at the variance in the type of armies that we were seeing and how well they performed. Now, I do at some point, because I'm super sad, intend to do this kind of data dive and how that compared across the year in general.
You really only got to do it from June.
Yes, from 1.5. What I will then very quickly just shows, just because I'm crazy. This is I'll share this if anyone actually wants my initial insanity. This is the beginnings of all sorts of crazy data that'll then be put in a much more presentable format. But what's interesting, I think, if I just sort of very quickly sort of directed to this area, is that mixed arms at the top level, on average, for what I classified as mixed arms, scored 59 points over the weekend. Only closely followed by the points denial list, which you didn't really see in the Masters, in the Open. But there was quite a significance between that style of list and the rest. So maybe with the death of dragons at the very top end, that's where you see actually the more balanced lists do perform very well.
It feeds into what's causing the death of dragons at that end, because it's a mixed arms list. They've got the answers.
Yes, exactly. So, like I shan't sort of leave this abomination that I assume for most people it is. I'll keep adding stuff into it. Eventually, I'll see the Matrix.
What colour pill do you have?
Sorry?
What colour pill are you going to have? The red pill, blue pill?
I know.
Elixir of life.
I'm all in the Matrix. Bring it in. So yeah, I just thought, a bit of interesting to see how that looked a little bit. Now, I'm sure some people will find that interesting. Some people think, my God, what an absolute nerd. Even by nerd. Sorry?
Some people have gone to put the kettle on when you started
talking.
Oh,
yeah, some people saw that massive spreadsheet and thought, holy sweet Jesus, that's getting turned off. So thanks for staying as long as if that is the case. But that, I think, kind of draws an initial end to our data dive and analysis of the Masters, other than maybe once again congratulate everyone who qualified for the Masters, because it doesn't matter whether you finished 22nd out of 22 or whether you finished first. You were at the Masters as an invitational event because you finished in the very, very top rankings in Old World across the year. And that is a remarkable achievement, regardless where you then finished in the Masters.
And a big thanks to the Open, everyone that came to the Open, for making it
a great event.
Yeah.
It really added a lot of flavour. I don't think the weekend would have been as good as it was if it was just the Masters and we didn't have the Open run alongside it.
No. Yeah, I think both sides of it enjoyed going and watching the other games, seeing the other players, having the chats and the general meetups.
It also just meant there was more people there talk to during lunches and breaks in the game. I genuinely think the Open was not to be overlooked, and apologies if that hasn't came across, but it was a real invaluable part of the weekend and added so much. One thing I will say about the Open particularly, the selection of good armies that were on display for the best army award was incredible.
Yeah,
top notch.
Really, really good. The Open was so you can almost see the joy of that of the hobby side of the aspect. Not to take away anything from the Masters guys, was so evident in the Open.
A lot of the Open players play for the hobby and the converting, the painting more than the gaming. I think the winning.
Yeah, it's not.
You looked at some of the Open armies, and you could just tell they were a passion project.
Yeah, I think that's not to say some lovely
in.
armies in the Masters as well. Like Dr. Luke won best, and it was stunning.
Yeah, because his Bretts are just an amazing army.
I mean, he's an incredible painter of his models. But the range in the Open, I generally thought, like, between, if I pick out three off the top of my head, actually I can't even, Amy with a troll horde, James's Bretts were amazing. I thought some of the conversions were genuinely incredible. David's High Elves, Callum, Cathay. There was
Daniel with his dwarfs.
Daniel's dwarfs are lovely. Like
Shane
Squiggs. Sorry?
Shane Squiggs.
Ian's daughters are really nicely themed and whatnot as well. Generally, I thought the Open was full of really, really nice armies.
Yeah. And more display boards from the Open, like army displays.
Well, yeah, because there was none from the Masters.
Which is quite rare, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I just wanted to sort of, it would be loath to not talk about the weekend and not reference how incredible the hobby side of it was, especially from the people who have taken part in the Open. Yeah. I imagine, obviously, I didn't vote on it this time with us being a player. I imagine it was a pleasure to judge.
Yeah.
I mean, we both agreed unanimously straight off who would win both, but it was so many strong options, to be fair.
And I think the other thing to take from that, as we look forward to Forgotten North 4, there will be a lot more prizes for the hobby side of the event as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to go first, second, third for best armies and best individual model and best baggage train. I think is to start rewarding the incredible sort of work that people put into the hobby on that side of it. Sort of having almost as well, if you take away some of the other prizes we're planning on doing for different aspects, like actually there's the equivalent number of awards for the hobby side as there is for the actual event.
Yeah, for the playing side.
Yeah, which I think is the right thing at 60-man event that we're going to see in Forgotten North 4.
I think one more thing to say about both the Open and the Masters was the huge spread of sporting votes. It was massive.
Oh yeah, you both referenced that at the awards ceremony.
2/3 of both sides got sporting votes, which is really rare for there to be that big a spread.
Yeah, I think it was
12 different people in the Open got a vote.
It's not 12 and 13 or something stupid.
12 in the Open got a vote, and it was 11 in the Masters got a vote.
So almost half the pool in Masters.
Which, for that I read too, is that you're all equally monsters.
Well, you're right. Like, hats off to Ian and AJ, who won the best sportsman award.
Yeah.
Favorite.
It was in the Masters. AJ won it, being the highest place.
So it was a tie that then went to him.
It was a four-way tie in the Masters.
That's incredible. I must admit, I had five games, 5 different opponents, 5 genuinely lovely games. Every one of my opponents, except you, Ed, if you're watching, No, like I had 5 incredible games full of 5 really wonderful players, and it was nice. Some of them were people I've never played before, certainly at an event, which really lovely as well to meet new people as well.
We've found people that travelled a lot further for this event than normal. Like
Yeah, I think I think because of the kind of, but I think you're right to bring it up, though, Andy, because that favourite opponent is one, I think, the best awards you can win in Warhammer.
It's one of the ones that me and you generally play for more than the winning event sometimes.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm a wonderful
sporting
person.
Used to.
I don't think Scott got any sporting votes.
I must have. I'm lovely.
I think everyone just said his blobs were disgusting. No fun to play.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. You got less than the tools.
I know. How the mighty have fallen there.
Well, one of the tools didn't get any.
Old, more friendly than you.
I know. It's a dark day. It's a dark day. But I think what I would say about the Masters to sort of start us bringing it to a relative end is that it was a wonderful celebration of Warhammer to finish the 2025 competitive season.
It was, yeah. It was a lovely end, and for all the stress, for all the hassle, that it's operation. I want to be there next year.
Well, by the rules of Masters, we can't host it in 2026, whether we wanted to or not. But yeah, now the race has officially started to see who qualifies for the 2026 season.
And the question is, will Pash bring it back, or will he have put his name on every single box in that trophy?
Yeah, that is the big question: is will Pash return the plaque with his name only on one of them?
It'll be on all 24.
or have we spent a lot of money on a lovely plaque that's now just covered in Pash's name?
It'll be one initial on every little box.
Personally, I think he'll remove the plaque plates and just put a picture of himself on it.
You know, if he hasn't thought about that and he watched this video, if he wasn't already doing it, he's doing it now.
Yeah,
it's just an engraving now of Pash on that plaque. But no, I mean, obviously, we had a ranked season in 2024, but it didn't finish with the Masters event in the first year.
No.
We've had a second ranked season that finally culminated in what the rankings are all about, which is this Masters event, and I thought it went incredibly well. Not without its flaws, and some of those that were related to the one thing issue with the venue. We will be reaching out to people, which was a real shame, but genuinely, I thought it went. The actual tea from your guys' sides went without a hitch. The players across the Masters and the Open played in such a remarkable mindset that really shows the best of the hobby.
Yeah.
So not only did you see the best players in the Masters, it really represented the scene of Old World in the UK, which has played such a positive mindset where everyone is there for the good of the hobby and they're there to spend time and have games against other people who also love the same hobby that we love.
Yeah.
So we hadn't planned this one, but do either of you guys have a highlight of the Old World scene of 2025 that you want to share, or have I dropped it on that with absolutely no notice? And you're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Jeez, all of it. You know, you can't
do a highlight from the whole year.
I mean, to be fair, mine's really easy, which is the WTC with England and winning that. And that was the single greatest thing in Warhammer I've ever been part of.
I think for me, it could be that we successfully ran the Masters.
First
one of the Old World.
Yeah, that is really quite something. And that was a lot of hard work getting it ready.
I think selling out for North 3 and 4 as quickly as we did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still flabbergasted at that, to be fair. So, flabbergasted, which I suppose is a wonderful place to finish to say thank you to everyone who does watch our videos and does attend our events.
Yeah, everyone that supported us in 2025, thank you, and stick with us. We're going to get better at every event, and we've got some big plans for 2020.
Yeah, we do.
And you'll probably see us more at other events this year, probably as well.
Yeah, going to try to get ourselves to more events this year, especially you guys. So I managed to get around to some, but you guys did not in 2025.
No, very poor, yeah.
So with that, if you don't already, please please subscribe. It does appease the YouTube gods, and it means the world to us. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for watching the video. Thank you for everyone who, as Stan mentioned, has supported us through the year. And please do keep supporting us through 2025. You won't through 2026. Sorry, you will not regret it. And for those who are attending Forgotten North 4, we will see you in May. Our next will be a preview that we forgot for the Durham event, which we are attending in just over 2 weeks' time. So watch the space for that as well. In the meantime, good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
And good night to everybody else. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.